your best shot. What do you got? Check us out on Twitter, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. Just do a quick search on Twitter for Hot News Talk Radio. The number to call in, 423-800-8949. Don't be confused, my friend. It's not actually a toll-free 1-800 number. People don't care about tolls anymore, right? I mean, come on. 21st century, we don't care about toll-free numbers anymore. Every call you make is free. Most of the international calls you're going to make are free. It doesn't matter. It's a 423 number. It's local. We're in Chattanooga. You're in Chattanooga. Give us a call. 423-800-8949. Check us out on Twitter. If you see something you agree or disagree with, you can redress your grievances, as it were, here on Hot News Talk Radio. This is Best Shot, the show where you can actually talk to us and tell us about what you think about what you hear on the air. Maybe just vent a little bit about what's going on here with politics, with the world at large, the current generation, right? Everybody's upset about the young people, those dastardly young people ruining everything. So one of the recent tweets that was made on the Hot News Talk Radio Twitter: how about politicians and bureaucrats start obeying their oath to support and defend the U.S. Constitution, which is a far overly optimistic tweet that's never going to happen. U.S. politicians will never actually obey any oath to support and defend the U.S. Constitution. That's simply not going to happen. The article that's referring to, though, is actually from News 360. And by the way, today we're going to talk about oil prices, too, more specifically gas prices, because you might remember way back last month when gas prices were actually pretty low, maybe $1.20, $1.30, not bad at all. It felt really cool because you could spend $10 and get half a tank. You could only, you only needed to spend like $10 a week and you were done. You spend about $10 a week and you're done. Then next week you spend $10 and you're done. That was nice. Now it's more like 15, and that's, highway robbery, it seems like. If you remember, especially back in like 2008, when stock market crashed and we had the oil prices that were going through the roof, it was close to $5 a gallon. And it's just a crazy, stupid price you have to pay. Even if you're driving some little, hipster car, you're driving your little horn rim glasses type car, you got your little Evo, whatever, the Toyota thing that gets like 50 million miles to the gallon. Even if you're driving that, you're still spending way more than you should be on gas. It's just stupid. So why is the question? Why are the gas prices going so far? And are they just going to keep going up? That's another question. We're kind of worried about that because, let's face it, not everybody here in the States is actually, overflowing with cash right about now. It's not like I've got $400 bills in my wallet, and not everybody can do that. It's not like I'm just wanting to throw away my money. I'm walking down the street and I'm thinking, man, how can I spend all this money that I have? Because I'm carrying around bags of it like Scrooge McDuck. It doesn't happen. Most Americans are not that way. Most of us are just hardworking folks who don't have a whole lot of cash to spend. We support our families. Maybe we buy a few nice things for them. But when it comes to expenses like gas, we can't really afford to keep spending money, especially if you're doing your planning for your checkbook, right? You're balancing your checkbook. You got the family budget. The gas price keeps fluctuating. You got to redo your family budget all over again. The beginning of the year, you're going, man, gas prices are great. It's $1.20 a gallon. I can budget around that. And then the next month, it's $1.50 a gallon. You got to budget around that. And then it's $2 a gallon. Then it's $3, $4, $5. It just keeps going. You got to redo the family budget. This doesn't just affect somebody in the Middle East. This isn't just affecting some czar with his turban and his scimitar, right? It's not just affecting those guys. It's not just affecting the guy who owns a big trucking business who's sweating because his annual cost just went up by $400,000. It's not just those people. And sure, those people have a right to be worried about gas prices too. But it's not just them. It's us, average people. Everybody drives. This isn't Europe where the government spends way too much money on public rail systems that, the government then has to keep spending money on. And in the end, they'd probably be better off if they were driving. It's not like Europe where they have that. And of course, every American underground metro system always ends up horribly anyway. Have you ever been to New York? The metro system there, yeah, it's a feat of engineering for sure, but it's really gross anyway. And driving in New York is a nightmare too, because the road layouts are ridiculous. But the gas prices affect everybody. So why? I know I've asked that question a few times without answering it. So let's get down to it. Why are the gas prices going up? Well, to answer that, first we need to look at why they went down in the first place. And the answer is actually kind of funny. Iran. Now, I know everybody hates Iran, right? Everybody wants to beat up on Iran. That's fine. That's cool. And probably the next presidential candidate's going to beat up on Iran even more than the current president does. I know. But like it or not, Iran dumped a whole lot of oil into the market, and that caused gas prices to go way down as a consequence, which is kind of nice. So thanks, Iran, actually. Pat yourself on your collective backs. Gas prices went down by a lot. It was like 400,000, 500,000 barrels, something like that. They dumped into the market. So the global gas price or global crude price went way down. Price per barrel went way down to like $18 per barrel, which was really low. Well, now it's closer to 30, and that's kind of about where it was before. I'm sure lots of people are making a lot of money as a result of that, but we are also losing. Us, the consumers, are losing a lot of money as a result of that. Well, okay, fine. The Iran thing was temporary. Now we're starting to normalize our prices, but they're going to continue to go up, and I can tell you why. Now, yes, the U.S. is responsible for most of its oil, actually. The U.S. could be self-sufficient oil-wise, but when you think about where America buys its oil from, you're probably thinking of the Middle East, but you're actually wrong. You should be thinking of Canada. And Canada just did something that could cause us to lose a lot more money. Here's what Canada did. Canada has elected in its annual, or not annual, but it's semi-annual elections, just like we have. They have a prime minister and we have a president. They just elected Justin Trudeau, who's very young. I think he's in his mid-30s, former drama teacher. His father was the prime minister a long time ago, I think 20 to 30 years ago in the 80s or 90s. Questions about whether or not he's qualified. I'm not Canadian. I'm not big into Canadian politics. I have friends in Canada, but I'm not really big into Canadian politics. But I do know Justin Trudeau is extremely liberal in his policies. I also know that Justin Trudeau, on his election, was mostly on the platform of, you guessed it, ecocentrism, right? Oh, about the ecology. We got to protect the environment. He's an environmentalist, which means naturally he hates oil production, which means naturally Alberta, being one of the largest oil producing provinces in Canada, also where us Americans get most of our oil, that means that oil production has gone way down. Now, I don't want to go all numbers, finance, Wall Street, throwing ticker tape at you, blah, blah. I don't want to get into that because I want to get more into hard American politics in just a second. But, and the number to call in, by the way, 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. This is Best Shot, the show we talk about hard politics. You can throw your questions at us. You can vent, you can rant, you can rave. Call in 423-800-8949. If you check out our Twitter and you don't like something about it, or you do like something about it, give us a call. 423-800-8949 is the number to call. And one of our recent tweets was, and this is pretty funny, all of our tweets, by the way, done by Confederate Mike, and he's a very inflammatory person, to say the least. This guy, when he gets going about politics, when he gets going about talking about anything, really, talk about the weather, this guy gets red in the face, ranting and raving. He's nuts. You know, I'm scared of him, actually. And you should be glad he's not on the air right now, and it's me instead of him. But anyway, he does most of the tweets, and you can tell because he's seething in most of them. Well, this one here, he said, this is funny. This one here is on topic. He says, only stupid people, bums, and entitlement criminals would vote for a socialist, even in Canada. And yes, Canada is, by the way, kind of a socialist country in a lot of ways. Socialized healthcare, of course, is the standard over there, much like it's going to be here, probably. Lots of other socialist policies. Government's very much involved in business. There are a lot of regulations. One nice thing about Canada, having been there, I can tell you one nice thing about Canada, two nice things about Canada. The people are overly nice, and the drinking age is 19. So two good things about Canada that I can say right off the bat. But no, back to Alberta. Drilling has gone way down. Business.financialpost.com has a really good article about this, about just abandoned oil derricks off the outskirts of Edmonton, which is a city in Alberta, saying people in the drilling industry frequently call this the busiest time of year, from the tail end of December through to March, right now. 100 days of hell is what they usually call it. But this year, it might be better described as 100 days of boredom. Drilling activity in Canada has fallen to 30-year lows, says Western Energy Services Corporation Chief Executive Alex McAusland during an earnings call on Friday. Why is the question? Why? Why aren't you drilling? Well, the Canadian Association of Oil Well Drilling Contractors forecast that there will be 60 to 70 fewer drilling rigs in the country at the end of 2016, which is a contraction of about 10%. Reason being, of course, environmentalist policies on the on the side of the very much environmentally mindful government. And it's not just Justin Trudeau. And I feel that way about a lot of things when it comes to politics, especially presidencies and the highest up. You can't beat up on one guy for the entirety of all the country's problems. As much as I don't like Obama, and I really don't, I can't exactly blame him for everything that goes wrong. Gas prices go up. Obama, everything's his fault, and I don't like him. I don't like his politics, but you can't beat up on one guy for everything. So let's be fair. The government in the province of Alberta has been doing a lot of stupid stuff too. They're basically communist. And just as an aside, by the way, Canada's been selling off all of its gold reserves. Canada now has no gold in its gold reserves. That's not a good sign. That's really not a good sign. Canada's currency is worth like 70 cents on the American dollar. Yeah, Canada's economy is not doing too well at all. Groceries are stupid expensive. Bags of milk, yes, they have bags of milk in Canada for some reason instead of cartons. Bags of milk are very expensive. I could go on. But if you're wondering anyway why the gas prices at the pump are going up, that's why. Most likely because of Canada. Are they going to go back down? Are they going to go back up? Who's to say, really? Oil prices are very volatile. Everyone knows it. Voting on oil or bidding on oil is just that. It's a bid. It's a bet. It's gambling. That's what Wall Street is. That's what the Wall Street criminals do. They gamble. That's what they do. That's what Wall Street does. It's all gambling. It's like one big casino out there in New York. One big casino. That's what Wall Street is. And I say that as a hyper-capitalist too. I'm not somebody who's going, the Wall Street guys they're just, they're just criminals and they should all be hung. No, I'm talking about corporate communism, right? Which is where government gets involved in business. And that's the very last thing you want to happen. People way too often misassociate socialism and capitalism, actually, or confuse them. Because with Wall Street, there's no doubt. Look at GM. There's no doubt government is involved in business. That is a inch towards socialism. Socialism, of course, is control of production and supply. The problem is socialists can't control market prices, which means socialism always fails. But anyway, that's what happens. And it never fails. Socialism fails. Wall Street's going to fail because government's involved. Anytime the government sticks its filthy, grubby, little awful hands onto anything, it fails. GM, not doing so well. Marketing pushes like crazy. GM does not make wonderful cars. Really never have. GM does not make wonderful cars. Why? Government buyout. And really, GM didn't make very good cars from the get-go. You could argue that the 2000s were a bad time for GM cars. I'm not a fan of American cars. Anyway, to be quite honest with you, in fact, if you want to buy American, you might as well buy German these days, if you know what I mean, Volkswagen. So it's just a mess. But had GM not been bailed out by the federal government, we probably would have been a lot better off. And plus, that was money out of your wallet. Do you really care that much about GM that you want your money taken out of your wallet to pay for GM? Come on. Corporate communism is what it is. Bailouts always are. The bank bailout, the car industry bailout, any bailout ever should not have happened. It just shouldn't. It should not happen. Looking at the Twitter here, by the way, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter, 423-800-8949 is the number to call in. That's 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Hot News Talk Radio. If you want to yell at me, you want to say that I'm right about something, you want to talk about the Twitter, 423-800-8949 is the number to call in. So guess who's popular among Marines right about now? Marine Corps poll, not sure who did the poll, but it's on Twitter here. Clinton, of course, is actually not doing as well as Sanders, according to Marines who were polled, which is odd because Sanders is actually it's not very weird because Sanders is all about sending troops all over the place. So I guess I can see that. Ted Cruz polled better than John Kasich and Marco Rubio or Rubot. That there's stories about Rubio that are pretty funny. But the man who's leading by far is actually Trump, believe it or not. Donald Trump is actually polling way higher than any of the other candidates. In fact, leading by 15% at the highest, at the lowest, I should say, leading by 15% at the lowest against Sanders and Cruz, who are almost even, or actually are even, 15.79% for both of them among polled Marines. So that's very interesting. Donald Trump is very popular among military men, which is understandable because Donald Trump actually does, I don't want to say pander or cater, but he really does talk a lot to the troops. He really does get into supporting the troops and all that sort of thing. And it's good for any presidential candidate. If a presidential candidate makes the troops unhappy, he's probably going to make the rest of America unhappy too. The last thing you want is a president who doesn't like the military, especially the people who are in it, because you're going to end up with unhappy troops, you're going to end up with unhappy people, and you're going to end up with an unpopular president. That's why, George W. Bush was actually pretty popular with the troops, believe it or not, for some reason. Bush was pretty popular with the troops. And so for a little while there, he was pretty popular with the people too. Then we got sort of disenfranchised with the whole war thing, and his polls started to go down and yada, yada. But you know how it is. Even Obama doesn't really poll very well with the troops, despite the fact that he does visit them at least once a year, I think. But Donald Trump is such an anomaly in so many ways. And I'm glad that I get to talk about him now. Trump is such an anomaly in so many ways. And I'm not Republican by any means. I just want to throw that out there. I think Republicans are criminals just as much as Democrats are. I'm not affiliated with any real political party. Now, I do tend to be sympathetic to the libertarian cause. I don't really understand why a party needs to be in existence. I mean, I do, but I don't think that there should be one. I think political parties are more or less a scam. But I understand the libertarian cause, and I do sympathize with it most of the time. I know some people don't. I kind of do most of the time. Donald Trump, I understand why he's running as a Republican, because he is very neocon in a lot of his views on things. But Donald Trump kind of makes me happy in a lot of ways, just because I want there to be chaos within the party system. And Trump is causing so much chaos within the Republican Party that it just makes me giddy. I just get all excited when I see Trump just causing all these people within the Republican Party to be unhappy. When people in the political system are unhappy, it makes me really happy. When I see college kids who are very liberal unhappy, it makes me just giddy. I'm just so happy. I'm elated. And there are a lot of college liberals who really don't like Trump and were really pushing for Sanders. And Sanders is just tanking in the polls. He's not doing well with the electoral votes. His delegates are nowhere. He's probably not going to get the nomination. I can't imagine he'll get the nomination. And that makes a lot of young people unhappy, which makes me pretty happy. So, yeah. I mean, cool, they got their democratic process, and I'm happy for them. But honestly, I wouldn't vote for anyone in the presidential election. But if someone held a gun to my head and said, you must vote for someone, I'm not going to lie, it would probably be Trump, just because he's causing so much chaos in the political system. And I'm edgy enough to like that. Quite frankly, it's great. It makes so many people unhappy, and it's such a shakeup. I keep hearing that phrase being used so much. It's such a shakeup. Even the media, right? Even the supposedly conservative media over on the Fox side have been doing a lot of anti-Trump stuff. Megyn Kelly, very unhappy with Trump, and she has cause to be, I understand, but she's really unhappy with Trump, and Trump doesn't care. He was going to go to that Fox debate. And then he found out Megyn was going to be there. He's like, actually, no, I'm not going to go. He was watching the delegate results. He tweeted about this. It was pretty funny on his Twitter. He said, I was going to watch the delegate results on Fox, but then I saw Megyn Kelly and changed the channel to CNN, which I thought was pretty funny, because who cares about Megyn Kelly, man? Honestly, who cares about her? She's not relevant. It's not like she does anything that's super profound in the world of journalism. She's a nobody. She's going to be a nobody in 10 years. Who cares about her? That's the funny thing. It's like, do you remember any news presenter like her from 10 years ago? Probably not. I mean, you had Barbara Walters, you had people who were really good, but I just don't see Megyn Kelly as being that good of an interviewer or that good of a TV presenter. So I don't see her existing in the political world. She'll write a book, I'm sure, a New York Times bestseller, whatever, but I just don't see that in 10 years. I just don't. So that's why I'm not really behind Trump. I'm not really against him either. I'm sort of neutral in a lot of ways. I guess I'm for him in the sense that it makes the media really unhappy. And I think that that's really, really funny, especially when you look at a lot of unnamed, at this point, radio show hosts who were really pushing for Jeb Bush in the very, very beginning of the election, and now suddenly are sort of standoffish about it and said, well, maybe Trump is the best choice. I don't know. It's just, again, it's such a shakeup. It's like if Ross Perot was actually successful. It's just amazing to me. It's amazing how this is happening. And it makes people like George Soros really unhappy. And people like George Soros, when they're unhappy, I'm really happy, because I'm not a fan of him at all. He's donated money to both causes, I might mention. He's donated money to both Ted Cruz and to Hillary Clinton. his foundation. Now, that's something to read into, by the way. Follow the money. Whenever we're talking about politics, it doesn't matter what party they're in. It really doesn't. Follow the money. Who's funding them? Look at who's funding them. That's where their interest lies. This is Best Shot here on Hot News Talk Radio. Be back in a few seconds.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over to the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Shake, shake, shake it at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. The most delicious and unique milkshakes. How about this for delicious and different? Add freshly cooked bacon to any milkshake.
Is that even legal?
You bet your milkshake and booty it is. Chocolate caramel bacon shake. Coffee caramel shake. All hand blended. Shake, shake, shake it. Down at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Just about any flavor shake that you can imagine. And they are delicious. Get your shake, shake, shake on at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Five Guys Burgers and Fries, located in Hickson at North Point. Gun Barrel at the Walmart Center. Downtown 4th and Broad. And in Cleveland at Keith and Stewart.
MLS 2239. What would you do with all that cash? Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips here, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. $1,200. That's how much we just put back in a Saudi Daisy family's pocket per month. All they did was pick up the phone. 805-9100. That's 805-9100. Get that quick quote now. 805-9100. HomeRateMortgage.com. MLS 2239. Do you want to achieve the American dream in 2016? Listen up, y'all. I'm Ben Phillips with Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. We just helped a police officer purchase his first home in East Brainerd. Now he's grilling and chilling on his back deck. The American dream. You could achieve it with no money down options. Why wouldn't you call? 805-9100, HomeRateMortgage.com.
In the middle of our street. Hi, I'm Sabrina with Sabrina Realty Associates. Now is a great time to sell your home. In our area, inventory is at an all-time low, which translates into higher sales prices. Call us today at 423-499-7780 to set up a free consultation and discuss our unique and aggressive marketing programs. We will provide you with a free market analysis to determine the right value of your home. Call us today at 423-499-7780 or visit our website at sabrinarealty.com.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Money, lots and lots of money. I want to buy in the sky.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business? Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years, a 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock. Call me now, 875-5621.
Money, lots and lots of money. I want to buy in the sky.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A pedestrian was hit by a car on 27 southbound in Red Bank early this morning. It was near Morrison Springs Road, mile marker 6.2 at around 3 o'clock a.m. So far, details are limited, but the victim has been taken to a hospital. Not clear what his condition is at this moment. The search for a new Board of Education superintendent has begun. A new leader was chosen on Thursday, naming Dr. Kurt Kelly and Dr. Lee McDade as acting co-superintendents, not a permanent position. Kelly will be also serving as the primary role along with the Director of Accountability, his normal position. The board then shifted its focus towards an interim search, voting to only make the requirement a bachelor's degree to be interim superintendent, which is the state's minimum requirement. And a heartbreaking loss for the UTC Mocs last night. Lost to Indiana 99-74, first round of the NCAA tournament. Still a hard-fought game, a good game, too, for the UTC Mocs. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Looking good out there through the afternoon with some sunshine, warming up nicely, highs 73 to 75. Tonight, milder under fair skies, lows lower 50s. More warm spring-like weather ahead for the midweek, becoming breezy but dry through Thursday with highs back into the mid-70s. Did you know that your car talks to you? Are you listening? All those beeps, vibrations, and light-up icons are your car's way of communicating to help you be a safer driver. Learn more now at mycardoeswhat.org. And I'm Swargene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Best shot here on Hot News Talk Radio. Give us your best shot. Call in 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. Give us your best shot, what you got here on Hot News Talk Radio. So you remember the case of, well, not the case, but you remember the story about the guy who tried to jump the stage a few days ago, maybe 2-3 days ago. I think it was about a week ago, actually. Guy tried to jump the stage at a Trump rally and saying, you know, oh, look how racist he is and stuff. Typical, you know, typical liberal stuff. Jumping around the stage saying, oh, look how racist he is. I needed to take the mic away from him and tell people how racist he is. But, you know, it's not fair if I just put words in his mouth, is it? Because I don't want to be like them, I guess, is frankly. I don't want to be like the liberal media, the liberal agenda, whatever, people who are mouthpieces. And honestly, people in the so-called conservative media do this too, where they'll put words in people's mouths. Look at the Look at the journalists who were asking about, what about Trump promoting riots at his rallies? And, you know, I don't watch every single speech that he does. I'll be frank. And it's honest. I don't watch everything that he does because I'm not a huge fan, supporter, whatever. But I am all about fairness. And if you're going to lie, at least be convincing with your lies, right? I mean, come on. You know, and again, I'm not a fan. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to go out and vote for him, frankly. But I hate it when people lie about other people. It's just stupid. Come on. Easily disproved things. So this guy, Thomas DiMaggio, actually an Atlanta-based guy, you might remember. It's an Atlanta-based guy, jumped the stage or tried to. Secret Service tackled him. One of the Secret Service guys cut his hand, not sure on what. Did DiMaggio have a knife? I don't know. Possibly, maybe. He's got federal charges against him now. But this was in, I believe, Ohio during the Trump rally there. You might remember all the allegations about racism and such. Well, here's a quote from him directly to CNN when he talked to them, just to give you an idea, because I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. Let's be honest. And I want to be fair to everybody. Even people I disagree fervently with deserve fair treatment because that's the American way. So he says, I was thinking that I could get up on stage and take his podium away from him and take his mic away from him and send a message to all people out in the country who wouldn't consider themselves racist, who wouldn't consider themselves approving of what type of violence Donald Trump is allowing in his rallies, and send them a message that we can be strong, that we can find our strength, and we can stand up against Donald Trump and against his new way, against this new wave he's ushering in of truly just violent and white supremacist ideas, DiMaggio told CNN. Now, I challenge you to find anything Trump has said that's white supremacist. I mean, again, saying that as not like a member of his fan club and certainly not a Republican, I'm not getting where the white supremacy comes from. I don't see it. Sorry, not seeing it here. Or, I mean, violence, okay, but white supremacy? What has he got the Celtic cross tattooed on his shoulder and he's saying white pride? I mean, I'm not seeing it. Again, not getting it here. So it's just rhetoric, it's lies, it's typical, excrement from a particular bovine animal, if you know what I mean. It is what it is. It's wrong. It's obviously a lie. And what are you going to do about it? But this is typical of the left. Let's analyze this for a second here because it's interesting. Let's find out how we can counter this sort of rhetoric because it is interesting. How can we counter this? Well, notice that it's always some sort of rhetorical thing where I'm just against racism and I'm against white supremacy, so that's what I did. I'm going to break the law to counter his breaking of the law or something. It's all about words, too. Anytime they try to do something, it's always about words. I just need to tell people. I just need to let people know. I just need to say stuff into a microphone to let people know that I'm right, which is ironic, I know, considering that I'm a radio show host doing basically the same thing. But I have my own platform that I'm not illegally taking away from someone and potentially assaulting someone in order to have. So, that comparison kind of goes out the window. What Damasio did, he jumps up on the stage, or attempts to. He gets tackled by the Secret Service, and he says he's going to yell into a microphone about how Trump is racist at a Trump rally. What good do you think that's going to do? None. That's like going to a Clinton rally, jumping up, knocking her over into a coughing fit, grabbing her mic and saying, "Oh, quick, she lied about emails. She lied about emails." Who cares? Who cares? They're just not going to care. Nobody at the rally is going to go, "Oh, man, he's right. I better go vote for Jeb Bush." It's not going to happen. It's dumb. That's like going to a Hitler rally and going, "Hey, I think this Hitler guy might be wrong." And everyone goes, "Yeah, actually, I'm for Stalin now." It's not going to do it. Who cares? You can make this comparison with anything. Pol Pot. "Hey, I think the Americans are right." He's not going to care. It's not going to happen. It's just dumb. And this is the immaturity of this leftist movement. I've said before, at least the Soviets were industrious, right? Like, at least the Soviets, you could sort of, I don't know if admire is the right word, but you could sort of look at them and say, they are building things. The Soviets are doing some interesting stuff. The Soviets have built some cool guns. AK-47 is an amazing gun. Cool motorcycles, right? Neat stuff. Okay. Interesting political books. There's been interesting discourse that at no point mentioned white privilege or racism or whatever, at least you could see like academic discourse and industriousness going on with the Soviets. And I say that as a hyper-capitalist, not a fan of them at all. But I recognize that there was some sort of legitimate like thought process going on here. It's not like they're just a bunch of idiots. Like, these are educated people. But with these sort of like college leftists, it's all just pure rhetoric. It's just ignorance, which I know is rhetoric too. But when I look at it, I'm not seeing anything that has like an end goal, because with these people, it's just going to keep going on and on and on and on. There's not like a goal. Where with, and I don't want to say right wing, because far right wing is also very oppressive, as is left wing. But with at least the far right wing, there's a goal. With the far left wing on the communist side, there's a goal of creating or establishing a communist state or a socialist republic or democratic socialist republic, which those two words really should never go together. You get what I'm saying here. But with these people, it's like the end goal is just run up to a microphone and yell about how bad a racist person is. I don't get it. What's your goal here? I'm going to talk about how bad manspreading is in NYC subways and talk about how I should be able to shift genders every 3 seconds if I want to. That's like, okay, end goal, please. What do you want, an adjustment to the Constitution? And by the way, I want to talk about something else too. And again, I'm not like, I know I should say this a lot and I probably oversay it, but there's a listener every 14 seconds. So I want to say it again. I'm not a Trump supporter by any stretch of the imagination. I like the idea of him shaking things up. I don't think the presidency really matters that much because I want to push something else too. Here's my agenda, because my agenda is clear. I'm not lying about what I think about things, right? Like, I'm not going to come up here and be deceptive about what I think about anything. What I say is what I mean about politics. And I really am very much against leftism, and I'm very much against far right-wing ideologies too. I'm not sure if Hitler was far right-wing ideology. I know that law about how every 14 seconds, every so many paragraphs, someone's got to bring up Hitler. But everyone uses him as the paradigm, the paradox, right? The apex of right-wing ideology. I'm not sure if he's as right-wing as he is left, because, again, he was very socialist, and a lot of his ideals, yes, you can add anti-Semitism into them, but a lot of his ideals were very socialist, honestly, because he's very socialist. He's leftist. It's obvious. Applying right-wing just doesn't make any sense to me. Plus, on what spectrum are you applying leftism or right-wing, right? Which spectrum are we using here? Is there some defined spectrum where we can say, okay, Stalin far left-wing, Hitler far right-wing? Because I'm not seeing National Socialism on the far right. I'm seeing National Socialism on the far left. I'm not getting it here. And, granted, I don't have a degree in political studies, right? Like, I don't have a degree in political science, pardon. But I'm just not getting this in just using my common sense here that my mama taught me. I'm not getting it here. Sorry. I'm just a regular guy, but I don't get it. I'm not seeing it here. Not seeing the far right-wing connection to Hitler. And I know it's every, 4 paragraphs, someone's got to bring up Hitler, but I just want to throw that out there because that just doesn't make sense to me. Number to call in, 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Best Shot. We call it that because we want you to give us your best shot. What do you got for us? Check out our Twitter. Chances are you'll disagree with something because, frankly, I don't agree with everything that's on the Twitter. I'm not a very agreeable person, I'll admit, but I really do not agree with everything that's on the Twitter. I think a lot of it's inflammatory. I think a lot of it is incorrect. And I know the man who runs the Twitter, Confederate Mike, does not agree with everything that's on the Twitter because, unlike a lot of political ideologies, we, believe it or not, believe in freedom of speech. The First Amendment thing. And we believe in political discourse where people agree and agree to disagree or disagree in general. Because I don't agree with everything that, say, David Tulis says. I agree with like 99.9% of everything David Tulis says. I don't agree with 99.9%, or I agree with 99.9% of what Confederate Mike says, but there are things that we disagree on. For instance, he and I disagree on borders. Okay. I'm more of an open, not necessarily open borders kind of guy, but I'm more lax. I'm pretty laid back about borders. He and I disagree on weed legalization. And I think that's a pretty small thing. Maybe if we're talking about ideologies and morality, then nothing is a small item. We can argue that, fine, but we disagree on these things. David Tulis and I, I'm sure, disagree on different things. And his show, by the way, 9 to 11, every weekday here on Hot News Talk Radio. And I will say proudly that I work with one of the smartest people, if not the smartest person in Chattanooga. I work with very intelligent, very smart people. And that's why I am who I am. That's why I'm as good at doing what I do, is because not because I'm amazing, whatever. It's because, and I am the best, but it's because I work with really good, smart people. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing here. That's why I'm as good as I am, because I'm working with really, really smart people here at Hot News Talk Radio. We don't skimp out on the IQ points here. We're not skimping out on the intelligence quotient here at Hot News Talk Radio. We got plenty of that to spare. If you want a few points, you can call in and take them, by the way. I'll send them over to you. 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Hot News Talk Radio. And, I don't think that Thomas DiMaggio should be waterboarded or have bacon shoved down his throat like Confederate Mike says on the Twitter. That's a little bit much. But I do think that obviously storming a stage and potentially assaulting somebody, if in fact he did, is a crime. Obviously, assaulting, if he did in fact assault a Secret Service member, and I'm not a fan of the Secret Service at all, but assaulting an individual, of course, is a crime and punishment should go with that. And he is being prosecuted federally. So this makes sense. Thomas DiMaggio, by the way, in case you're just tuning in, is the person who jumped up on or attempted to jump up on stage at a Trump rally in Ohio. He's actually from Atlanta, by the way. I'm ashamed to say, as a fellow Georgian. He actually is from Atlanta. Attempted to jump up on stage and say that Trump is racist, I guess. Which, okay, good to know. Hey, caller, you're on the air on Best Shot, Hot News Talk Radio. What's going on?
Hey, Russ, do you really mean to say that the president of the country is not the most important person and that running for that race is not the most important news activity, the most important thing we can be discussing here in Chattanooga? I just don't get what you're saying, that the president ain't important and that you don't care really who it is. What are you talking about, boy?
Well, geez, calm down, buddy. Now, listen, I get you probably went to public school, okay? And in that school, they probably told you that the president's the most important guy. He runs the country, blah, blah, blah. But riddle me this, Batman. When he comes down, let's say the president visits Chattanooga. Okay, and he walks on through the door at the sheriff's office, is he going to sit there and say, Sheriff, I want you to do this, this, and this, and this, and the sheriff has to comply? No. The sheriff doesn't got to do jack. He can just say, I'm not doing that. Frankly, Mr. President, all due respect, I'm not obeying that order, and I'm just going to do what I want because I'm the sheriff. I was duly elected. I am actually the highest power sitting right now in Hamilton County. And he is the sheriff in Hamilton County, or any county, is the highest power in that land. Not the mayor, not even the governor. The sheriff is the highest power in the land. The sheriff is the most important person wherever you are. And I know if you went to public school, you probably, government indoctrination school, you probably weren't taught that, but that is the case. The sheriff is the most important person wherever you happen to be. That is the case. That is true. The only person who can arrest the sheriff, this is fun. The only person who can arrest the sheriff legally is a coroner, because a coroner, going way back to old England, merry old England, the only person who can arrest the sheriff is the coroner, because the coroner was an agent of the crown. That's a fun little common law ancient England fact for you, back where probably most of our ancestors come from, actually. And frankly, in America, it doesn't really matter where our ancestors come from. We can talk about, we can be proud, like St. Patrick's Day just came up, and we can be proud, I got Irish ancestors. Me personally, I'm French and Scottish and English, and I think that's pretty cool. If you're black and your ancestors herald from the Republic of Congo, that's awesome. That's cool, man. And maybe you're from Mexico. That's awesome. That's cool, man. And we should be down with that. And divisiveness is ridiculous. Treating each other differently based on race is ridiculous. It's not American at all. I'm sure Superman would agree with me on that one. It's not American at all, because that's not local economy. That's not free market. Now, granted, a shop person in a free market system can say, he can be racist and say, I don't want any blacks in my business. And you can apply that to any ethnicity, race, creed, whatever. I don't want there to be any of those dang Catholics in my business. And in a free market system, he can do that, sure. But guess what? No Catholics are going to shop there. And if you're in a Catholic town, you're in trouble, man. Or if you're in a Mexican majority town, you're in trouble, man. Or if you're in any place, now you suddenly have lost a big quarter of the market, which can now be taken up by someone else, some other business person who can now market to those people. So you see what I'm talking about here? That's a free market system. That's a beautiful thing, because a free market system won't work if you have a bunch of racist morons who are going to be idiotic and unkind and unchristian, frankly, to their fellow man. A free market system caters itself best to not being racist, believe it or not. And local economy is the same way. I don't care what color you are. It doesn't matter to me, frankly. It doesn't matter what color. Come on. There's this ridiculous misconception that everyone who's, not even libertarian, but people who are right-wing, which I guess probably someone would call me, or conservative, which someone might call me, these people are awful racists. And that's just not true. It's frankly not true. It's unfair. And really, if you want to look at racism, if you really want to get down to the root of it, socialism tends to lean very racist. I mean, again, and I hate to invoke the name again, but Hitler was a National Socialist, and he really hated a specific people group. Local economy caters itself best to people who are, not racist, believe it or not. And I know that's an unpopular position, especially with college liberals who think that anyone who's ever read an Ayn Rand book unironically is a awful person. But I got to say, if you're a horrible racist in a free market system, you're not going to last very long. You're really not. But anyway, I wanted to get that off my chest, because I think the allegations about, Trump is an awful racist who hates Mexicans and he hates black people or whatever, unfounded. And it's ridiculous media rhetoric. And I hate ridiculous media rhetoric, because I grew up with ridiculous media rhetoric. Come on. Growing up post 9/11, that's all you heard was ridiculous media rhetoric. Man, those Muslims all want to kill us, man. You're just inundated with it. Number to call in, 423-800-8949. 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Hot News Talk Radio. Check us out on Twitter, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter, where you can see all of our very inflammatory tweets here at hotnewstalkradio.com. Something that popped up, as the website too, by the way, hotnewstalkradio.com. A cool article that we shared on Twitter about the TSA. Yeah, the TSA is not anyone's favorite agency, to say the least. That's the Transportation Safety Administration. How many terrorists have they caught? That's a question that they don't want you to ask. How many terrorists have you actually caught in the Transportation Safety Administration? Oh, well, there was someone who had a water bottle that was over 6 ounces, and we dumped that out, and they might have been a terrorist who was actually using water to waterboard people on the planes. I don't know. Come on, TSA is not saving anybody. But something that the TSA is doing a lot is stealing electronics. Yeah, there's been a rash of thefts of electronics the TSA has stolen. TSA agents have stolen electronics quite a lot. I'm talking iPads, iPhones, and it's not just me making this up. Believe it or not, David Muir on ABC, and I don't want to tout another radio station or TV station, but just to cite my source, did a really good investigative piece on this woman or man, I don't recall, who had, doesn't really matter, who had an iPad stolen. They used the Find My iPad application that Apple produces and found out that that iPad was at the house of a TSA agent. Went to his door, said, "Hey, where's the iPad?" I want my lawyer, closes the door. And, it's just, come on, man. This is what the Fed hires, though. The Fed, that's the Federal Reserve. These are the types of people who the federal government hires, though. Ill-educated, people who don't care about your liberty because they work for the federal government. What, do you think a libertarian is going to walk in the office of the NSA and say, "Hey, man, I want a job here," unless he's Edward Snowden? He's not going to do that. Not going to happen. So people who care about your liberty, chances are, not going to work for the feds. And the TSA is probably one of the worst federal agencies out there, next to maybe the IRS, EPA, actually any 3-letter or 4-letter. SOCOM is 5, I think. Any organization which has an acronym, because governments really like acronyms because they're impersonal. They have this air of authority about them, right? When you hear like, man, the IRS is looking at you, you get kind of scared. Anybody would be. You get kind of anxious because it's a scary 3-letter acronym that's backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government that's now aiming to end you and your business and your personal finances. Did you remember to mark down that you bought a piece of furniture? You didn't write that off, did you? This is going into my notebook, sir. Ooh, I see that you received a gift and you didn't write that down on your tax return. Writing that down. They're vultures, they're Dracula, they're vampires. They want to suck the money out of you. And frankly, both sides of the American political spectrum are that way, because when you look at it, especially with the media rhetoric, both sides, Democrats, Republicans, they want to do the same thing. They're vampires. They want to suck the money out of you. They don't care about you. They want to suck the money out of you. That's why the answer is local. The answer is your sheriff, not the president. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Shake, shake, shake it at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. The most delicious and unique milkshakes. How about this for delicious and different? Add freshly cooked bacon to any milkshake.
Is that even legal?
You bet your milkshake and booty it is. Chocolate caramel bacon shake. Coffee caramel shake. All hand blended. Shake, shake, shake it. Down at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Just about any flavor shake that you can imagine. And they are delicious. Get your shake, shake, shake on at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Five Guys Burgers and Fries, located in Hickson at North Point. Gun Barrel at the Walmart Center. Downtown 4th and Broad. And in Cleveland at Keith and Stewart.
MLS 2239. What would you do with all that cash? Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips here, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. $1,200. That's how much we just put back in a Saudi Daisy family's pocket per month. All they did was pick up the phone. 805-9100. That's 805-9100. Get that quick quote now. 805-9100. HomeRateMortgage.com. MLS 2239. Do you want to achieve the American dream in 2016? Listen up, y'all. I'm Ben Phillips with Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. We just helped a police officer purchase his first home in East Brainerd. Now he's grilling and chilling on his back deck. The American dream. You could achieve it with no money down options. Why wouldn't you call? 805-9100, HomeRateMortgage.com.
Kill them all. We're gonna kill them all. Let them cough. Let them wheeze. Let them sneeze. We're gonna kill every one of them.
We're going to stop you dead in your tracks. Black mold has been known to mimic ailments such as asthma, emphysema, and other ailments that affect the well-being of your body. Black mold is the silent killer. Fight back today with a free estimate from PuroClean. The paramedics of property damage is PuroClean. Call 875-6136 for your free inspection and estimate today. And no, bleach does not kill mold. In fact, bleach is primarily made up of water and adds more moisture to your mold. The mold experts at PuroClean use proven products and state-of-the-art science equipment. They'll remove all traces of that deadly killer black mold. Call PureClean now at 875-6136. Plus, your homeowner's insurance may cover it. Call PureClean today at 875-6136.
We're gonna kill every one of them.
Not if PureClean has anything to do with it. Call PureClean today at 875